I was flipping burgers in my backyard, wearing a pair of swim trunks and a t-shirt that said, "This is my barbecue uniform," when I heard the sirens. I kid you not, two cruisers, lights spinning like it was a hostage situation. My first thought? Maybe some kid got hurt. My second thought, once I saw her ridiculous sun hat bouncing behind the cops? Oh hell no, not again. You'd think that after the whole flagpole incident, Karen would have learned her lesson. But nope. This time, she called 911 because, and I quote, "his pool is too small for a party and it's a safety hazard for the neighborhood kids." Not her pool, mind you. Mine. In my yard. With my money. Thing is, this lady doesn't even like water. I've literally seen her spray her lawn chairs with Febreze instead of wiping them down with a hose. But suddenly, the size of my pool was her concern because her son, Tayton, with a Y, was turning 8, and apparently, my pool wasn't sufficiently inclusive. Whatever that means. Now let me backtrack a sec. This isn't your average HOA drama. See, I live in a cul-de-sac in a gated community outside Tampa, Florida. Middle-class suburbia wrapped in beige vinyl siding and passive aggression. Everyone's mostly chill retired military, teachers, one guy who does voiceovers for anime, swear to God, but then you've got Karen. Karen moved in 2 years ago with a purse dog named Justice and a chip on her shoulder the size of a Costco rotisserie chicken. She appointed herself president of the HOA within 4 months, probably because nobody else wanted the job. That should have been our warning shot. She started off with things like no flamingo decorations and no visible trash bins on Tuesdays. Fine, whatever. Then she banned the word moist in the community Facebook group. Still weird, but harmless. But once she figured out who she didn't like, things got nasty. I'll be blunt. I'm black. So is my wife, Tina. Our 2 kids, Jaden and Simone, are 10 and 12, and smarter than half the HOA board combined. And somehow, Karen's problems always seem to orbit our property. Noise complaints when the kids were laughing too loud in the yard. Parking violations when Tina's sister came over in her hybrid. And now the pool. So back to the cop cars. I walked up, towel over my shoulder, spatula in hand. The taller officer looked kind of embarrassed just standing there. The shorter one looked like he was trying not to laugh. "Sir, we got a call about a code violation involving pool dimensions." I blinked. Pool dimensions? Karen cut in before I could even answer. "Yes, officer. His pool is only 14 by 10. That's barely enough space for a child's birthday party. It's a drowning hazard, and it sends the wrong message to the other children in the neighborhood. It's exclusionary." I looked at her, then at the officers, then back at her. "You called 911 because my private pool wasn't big enough for your party?" "I tried to book the clubhouse pool," she snapped, arms crossed like she was starring in some HOA-themed Law and Order episode. "But they said it was already reserved. And then I remembered your pool, which is very underutilized. I just assumed. You assumed you could use my pool? Well, you people don't usually. Don't." I cut her off. My voice was low, but it felt like fire behind my teeth. Tina had come out by then, holding her phone. She was already recording. You never know with people like Karen. You need receipts. The cops exchange a glance. "Ma'am, this is not an emergency," one of them said. "Calling 911 for non-emergency HOA disputes is a misuse of city resources." Again, Karen's face twitched. "I'm simply enforcing neighborhood standards, which have nothing to do with private pool size." I shot back. "And unless you have an architectural tape measure and a time machine, I suggest you get off my lawn and plan your son's party somewhere that doesn't involve trespassing." The tall officer cleared his throat. "Sir, you're within code. We're leaving." "Ma'am, this is your second false report this month. Next one's a fine." And just like that, they walked off. But oh no, I wasn't letting her off that easy. See, that same week, I'd learned something real interesting. While digging through HOA documents, because I'd had to fight a bogus noise violation, I found out that Karen's own backyard shed, built without a permit, 5 feet over the setback limit. And guess who signed the original inspection? Her ex-husband, back when he worked for the zoning board. I ain't petty, but I am thorough. So I took pictures. I filed an anonymous report to code enforcement. And then I invited the entire neighborhood over the following Saturday for a pool too small barbecue bash inflatable water slide. snow cones, Tina's famous mac and cheese, and a big-ass banner that said, "Welcome to the most exclusive pool in town." People showed up in droves. Even the anime voiceover guy came, and he brought beer. Karen stood across the street with her arms crossed and a phone in her hand, probably live streaming to some Facebook group with 6 members and 0 followers. And just as everyone was dancing the electric slide on my patio, a county truck pulled up in front of her house. Out stepped 2 code officers in khakis and aviators. "Ms. Langley," one called out, "we need to inspect your shed structure per complaint 4928. She lost it, screaming about discrimination, about personal vendettas, about how the HOA board would hear of this. But nobody was listening. Even Justice, the purse dog, looked over it. I heard the code officer say something about fines and possible removal of the structure. Karen's face crumpled like wet tissue paper. She stormed back inside, slammed the door, and for the rest of the party, not a peep. A week later, she got voted out of her HOA position in an emergency meeting. Apparently, her misuse of emergency services, personal targeting of residents, and a few shady receipts from HOA funds used for personal wellness candles didn't sit well with the rest of the board. Who knew? And get this, 2 weeks after that, a real estate agent put up a for sale sign in her yard. Rumor has it she's moving to some gated community in Arizona where the HOA bans inflatable holiday decorations and requires you to register your lawnmower. Good riddance. Now I sit here, same backyard, same pool, same grill, flipping burgers with Tina by my side, and my kids laughing in the shallow end. I look around and think, funny how a woman tried to weaponize the idea of community standards to push her own bigotry. And the community? It stood up, together. But it makes me wonder, where's the line between rules that protect everyone and rules that get twisted to control the few? Anyway, burgers are ready. You want one?